welcome back to MGE Table Talk. I'm glad that you guys chose to check in with us. It's been a few. When was the last time we did this? I know it hadn't been regular, but it's been more regular than it has been in past years. But I got busy again, y'all. So y'all know how it is. You know, I'm behind the scenes, but this is my journalistic itch that I get a chance to scratch with this podcast. So thank you for checking back in with us, because you really could have been doing anything else with your time, but you chose to be here. So I am very happy because this is the first time that I get a chance to do this with her, but she knows how I feel about it. I'm elated. I said I was happy, but I'm elated that she's here with me. I have one of the coolest people that you will ever meet. I know she's not really up on titles like that, but I'm going to use her title anyway. I have Chief Judge Erika Green here with me at the Table Talk. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me into your space, and even just considering me for this talk.
Of course. Listen, you and I speak a lot about books. Mm-hmm. You and I have a very deep love for literature. So I know it'll be random times I might get a text from you like, "Did you check this book out?" Mm-hmm. We might not even talk for a quick little minute, but if a book comes into your orbit, you like, "Did you check this book out?" And then it's vice versa. I'll end up doing that. I could be eating dinner and think of a book. I'm like, I wonder if Erika read this book. So it's you know, I rather enjoy the conversation.
There is a thing that I'm learning in my old age. I'm old. Is that blurs are cool, right? So, you know, we are right. We are the elder generation of the black nerd, and I am taking on to it. I'm throwing it to anyone who would listen. So if anyone wants to get recommendations from books, I'm going to always give you that. That's what you can get.
I don't think people realize the deep-rooted history of the blurb. Mm-hmm. Because some of your favorite rappers are that. If you look at the Wu-Tang Clan, mm-hmm. those were comic book nerds. Yeah. I mean, Ghostface Killer nicknamed himself Tony Stark, Iron Man. And I remember growing up in the 90s before I even really knew about, I just aged myself, didn't I?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did. It came out, too. It came out. I was trying to
And rappers are poets.
They are.
If they're good ones. I can't speak for everybody.
Can't speak for everybody.
But the ones that I know you and I like are poets. They have a cadence with their writing, with their words, and it is always interesting when you see people, you know, these influencers now, especially the book lover ones, are now getting into bringing up words mm-hmm. out of lyrics. And apparently the court system is now addressing lyrics in music in that area. So it gives me ability to switch it up and to bring it to different like generations and say, hey, I know athletes are cool. Mm-hmm. I know that you like this singer, but look at her music this way, or look at the rap lyrics this way, and see how he connected them and humanized or brought it to life. And so it's the same as the authors that we read now.
Right. And you brought up lyrics in the court, and it made me think. I actually got the pleasure to interview Mac mm-hmm. From No Limit fame. And it was a very interesting interview because, you know, he's been an advocate of that. That's, you know, they actually used his lyrics almost as a witness against him, even though it wasn't.
It's a new thing in the judicial, the legal system. Is it permissible to use lyrics in crimes and to say that's why people did things?
What are your feelings on that? 'Cause
I don't have feelings. I'm a judge. I mean, they limit me how I think about that. What I will say is I think it's a new precedent, mm-hmm. and so it allows for jurors to touch into a different side of evidence. Mm-hmm. That we never use. And it also is culturally interesting to see lawyers and judges present it or take it in to weigh it. So I think without me having any thoughts on it, what I think is that evidence is evidence if it supports the crime
Right.
or if it presents what was what the intent was or how the mindset was prior to the action. I say it is good to use, and even like art,
Right.
it is in the person's mind and the beholder of the person who has it. So is it artwork? Is it not? Supreme Court made a statement on it a long time ago. And so I think it's the same with music and literature, even the local library, because I love the local library.
Go ahead, plug the local
The
library.
local library brought Tank from New Orleans to do a little poet set, right? It's her music, so she's singing, but she's also presenting. She said, all this comes from my poem book.
Right.
So again, we back at it the same thing.
Yeah.
Words, cadences, rhymes, and if one day somebody lets me teach English again,
Now,
I'm going
what
to
you
throw
mean
that in.
if somebody let you? As if you sit around waiting for someone to let you do anything.
The education world is different, advocating it and getting people to see that there is a need for some of that. So we'll see.
Well, I think you being who you are and knowing how you are, I see that that there are goals that I think that you can clearly achieve whenever you set forth to do them. Again, like I said, I'm always gonna be glowing about you because I just think that you're one of those amazing people
Thank you.
make the world a better place. And speaking of how you make the world a better place, you are 10 years in of just public service in general. So before you were chief judge, you were also councilwoman Erika Green. For those who may not know that era of your service, give us just like a little background as far as like how this love of public service kind of got started with you.
So I'm not a pop-up public servant,
You're
right?
not.
And so
Been out you.
So I want to definitely address that because there was at one point a different generation leading, right? When I came back to Baton Rouge, I went away to school. When I came back to Baton Rouge for law school, it was still the same leaders, right? And so then a few younger officials, younger people started running for office. And so I was happy to be a part of like that new wave. So, there were the judges in the 90s that ran after consent decrees and things got into place. And then there's a new wave of judges.
Now, wait, just put a pin right there. Because, again, I like for this podcast to be entertaining, but also, we're going to drop some gems. Explain consent decree for those who may be listening and watching and they may not readily catch that term.
So just think an agreement with there was a lawsuit had to be filed because there was not a number of black judges on different levels. And so lawsuit is filed and then there's agreement or like a settlement per se with the plaintiffs and with the government to say that we're going to give some new seats out. We're going to make some new districts. And I said the 90s because what you're going to find in the next year is that there are a lot of judges that are in the process of possibly aging out. But they've been there for years.
Right.
Not just judges. You have elected officials that have terms. And so they may be getting term out too. So you may remember your state reps and your council members and things of that nature. And so I just brought that in because that was the judicial wave, right? Was a lot of, they were younger when they ran or when they were putting those seats. And then same with when I started as a council person, which was, yes, about 9.5 years ago.
It does not seem that long ago either.
I do that big laugh, that Holy Ghost, woo, because I don't know. I don't remember it. But I was so eager to help people. But like I said, it wasn't pop-up. I had been in NAACP Youth Council Chair over a youth group in our local chapter. I had been volunteering with many organizations, and had just did about 3 back-to-back large MLK Day of Service events which was led by African Americans in the local Baton Rouge area. And so with my sorority, we did it for 3 years. And then after that, I was pushed into now, or I like to say stretched into the next level, which was public service that deals with being elected. So I was appointed first to Ronnie Edwards seat, District 5. And I served that first year. Then I ran after that. And I served my district with integrity,
very much
passion, and with what I felt they needed at the time. And an opportunity opened where one of the judges one of the judges in family court, the only minority seat, she retired, and I ran. Let me go back. I ran for my seat again, and then the next 6 months, possibly, I ran for judge. So for a year, I ran twice, making that my third election, and now I'm up for re-election in my current seat. And so I say that, but I humbly, but I also say that with a little bit of pride, because
you should.
Serving that long of time, still having trust. People still come to me today with their trust and believe that I, genuinely want to be working in the community, and I do. I do a lot of things people don't even know about. I mentor a lot of law students and college students, and I also have a nonprofit as well. But as it pertains to public service and pushing myself out in those arenas where I've had to be on boards and commissions. So don't forget, it wasn't just an elected seat. It was boards and commissions as well that I was on, having to meet some who brought a lot of, more activity that I desired, but some that I look at the fruits of the labor of the YWCA and where they are now. I was on that board. I was happy to have brought in the Black leadership that they have now.
Right.
And like I said, I'm still a member of organizations like the NAACP, organizations like Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Tau Blaze of Distinction, and actively involved in church. And that's a lot to maintain. So if you pop up, you don't maintain.
It is a great deal to maintain. And I remember even when you were running for your current seat, how your schedule would just be like jam packed. And I would, I'm someone who's pretty busy in his own right as well too. But I would look at your schedule and I'm like, when does she sleep?
I sleep now.
and then you still found time to read for enjoyment. Like these are things that I think still definitely sharpens steel. So I looked at it like motivation. Like, okay, you pretty busy, Terrence, but you ain't Erika Green busy. You got to step your game up.
Listen, I've learned balance. I have also learned that what I want to work with is what gives me purpose.
Right.
So I am a little bit more particular about what I involve myself in. And I think that allows me to be my best self to the community and also, like I said, maintain balance. The books are leisure. So if you watch movies, that's books for me. I'm currently reading, listening to one book and reading another book. Why? Because it's like channels to me.
That sounds so much
and
like
it
you.
escapes the world that we live in.
That is the most Erika Green thing I could hear today.
Yeah. Why aren't you listening
like
to a book and then reading one on the bedpost? Why aren't you doing that? Who's not doing that? Well, that's because But I do it. I am always down for a good binge watching, and I still go to the movie theater.
Now, that is one of my all-time favorite things to do. I enjoy the experience. Just the smell of the popcorn and, going to get your seat and, the big screen. Like, I think, that there's an enjoyment just to that activity. One thing I actually miss, again, I'm about to, I guess, date myself. I miss going to the store to actually buy albums. Yes,
we had an estate sale this weekend, and my aunt had albums. Now, let me be very clear: the ones we gave, we sold, they weren't the ones that we kept alive. We kept alive, and so and I pride myself in that because I was like, we're not giving these people these albums, these good albums.
Now, I still do, like, I've gotten into collecting actual, like, records. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about, like, when music would drop on, like, CD and you would go to the store.
Singles with intermissions.
With the lyrics?
No, interludes.
Yeah.
Singles with interludes. Singles that then come back with the whole CD. Mm-hmm. Then the playlist.
Yeah.
It's not a playlist because you can take a playlist out of order.
Yeah, the track list.
The track list.
The track listing.
And I learned from reading that Prince had an album, I want to say, is there an album by Prince that called 32? I don't know, I may make this up. But Prince had an album that he locked it.
Right.
So it was still a CD, right? Mm-hmm. And you can get it and he had the album, but he blocked it that they couldn't listen to it. You had to listen to it straight through.
Oh, so you could even skip through.
Because he said when he made it,
he wants the full experience.
Yep.
I used to love reading the liner notes as well too. Mm-hmm. I wanted to read the thank yous. Who were they thanking?
I was gonna say the thank yous.
I was interested in that. Like,
that's probably why we read.
I was always interested in that.
All they doing is downloading the click.
Who produced this? Mm-hmm. Did they have a ghostwriter right here? Or, all of these things were important to me. And then of course the album artwork. Yeah. What kind of photography did they use on the inside? Like,
Jill kind of just came back with that. She brought some artwork.
Okay.
With her latest album, she transitioned. To me, she transitioned. I thought she was more of a love hate ballad writer.
Oh, look, Jill doing what she want to do these days.
But she also strategically picked artwork. Mm-hmm. And she put it on there. Then she explained it. The new thing is you go on these podcasts. Look at me. Go on these, and you literally go on a tour of explaining why you did it. So she did say that she specifically got an artist, which is the cover, and then she's on some, radical stuff this time. Okay, yeah. Not necessarily love music.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I know Killer Mike's last album, I actually got that on record, but like he had like this whole rollout with photography, but I think that's all a part of the art, and I think the way we digest entertainment now. Mm-hmm. When you mentioned the movie theater, I mentioned going to actually purchase the album. Mm-hmm. I think those experiences enhanced the whatever the art is, right? And now it's like songs come out now, it's just kind of microwave,
and
like
it fades and you can't remember.
You got about 2 weeks,
and
you're doing good if you got a 2-week stretch with it. But I remember when albums would come out, like you would live with that album for maybe like a year. That was your soundtrack for the whole year.
Scratched, or you would have to get
I was so anal about my albums. What I would do, especially like, with the emergence of computers and being able to burn your CD, mm-hmm. I would burn a copy to listen in the car, and then I would keep the purchased copy like at home. That's to not.
You kind of do what a book lover does. Who I get the book, but this is just my book for the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Then
I have the other one that I'm, bending the pages and stuff.
I do have a couple like that as well too, where it's like, okay, this is just for display. Mm-hmm. This is not like some of them, they don't even get taken out of the packages. Mm-hmm. Like I need to keep this preserved, and then okay, I'm gonna read this one over here. So
we just have to be more keen to the experiences that we are missing by being attached to phones and by being attached to different, not interacting with people. You're missing some of those experiences. So
I believe
that's a little nostalgia what you're doing.
Yes,
you just did. It took me on memory lane.
I definitely believe that. And just kind of as we mentioned your public service as well too, but this is just something my in opinion I wanted to kind of put out there. Do you think that having people who are in public servant positions, having them kind of be in love with education and reading, is that a plus? Like, I know we don't have requirements for public service. Like, if you're
You don't have it anymore, but go ahead.
no, if you're of a certain age and you're of a certain residency or whatever, you can run for anything. You pay your filing
That's the
fee.
Requirement.
You pay your filing fee and you're there. And not to say that we should have requirements, but should it be strongly suggested that our elected officials, because I feel like that's also a character trait. When you're electing someone, you're not just electing someone to do a job, but they're also a representative of where you're coming from. Like,
So I think that,
and not to put you on the spot on that, but
I think requirements is the part that's kind of hard, right? And you said a love for education. I think that the requirement is set, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you got to be 18, you got to be a registered voter, kind of, and you should be a registered voter, and you should live in the area, right? That it has nothing to do with education, right? But I do believe if you are, I learned this from a leadership podcast. If your pursuit is to be a leader, you should always be in pursuit of learning.
Right.
You have to perfect your craft.
And I think that's what I was meaning is learning, not just education.
Yeah, I don't want to, because I didn't want to put that you have to love it or you have to have certain degrees. But I will say is that if you are a council person, why aren't you learning more about what other people are doing in that same area?
Right.
Why aren't you studying what are the best practices in legislative work,
right,
and advocacy? And then if you are in a judicial setting, we're required already to do continuing legal education. So I would say that should be focused on the area that you are the judicial person in. So I'm just we talked about legislative branch, talked about executive, we talked about judicial. And so in those areas, if your elected official is not seeking to learn or put themselves in the opportunity or the space to be around other people that are doing the same thing, then it is highly likely that your area or the area that they represent may not grow.
I like how you frame that, continuing education, because that's required for judges. And I think, I definitely think that should be a standard, or at least strongly suggested for the other, people who are elected officials, whether you're a mayor or a council person, representative, senator, what have you. Because if you're not a lover of knowledge, like you were saying,
you're not going to do it. How
do you grow? If you're just going off of just what you know at this moment, what you know on Monday and what you know on Wednesday should alter if something happened on Tuesday. You can't believe the same thing happened on Monday, on Wednesday. You can't have the same thought process that you had on Monday if something altered something on Tuesday.
And two things came up. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but one I listened to, she talked about proximity to other leaders and things like that. So people are always like, nobody put me on. Some of this is proximity. Nobody shared with me this, or, they gatekeep certain things. Well, if you are a lover of learning, when you go to a conference, you don't have to do the whole thing, but something has to pique your interest so that you're learning. And then you're in proximity, you're sitting by people, and you're kind of running, well, this is what we do in our court, this is what we do in our court.
Right.
And so you do learn, or you should get a little nudge of, man, I could probably bring that back to my city or something.
It's a good exchange of ideas. Now, speaking of learning and being a lover of knowledge, one of the things that you do in your community is your nonprofit, which I've had the pleasure of witnessing the work, firsthand. Imagination. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Because I know I know it's a certain way of how it, emphasis on certain parts of the word. But you have, you do really good work with that, exposing youth to higher learning institutes, but specific higher learning institutes. Can you expound on that? I think the best way to know about it is from you in general.
My passions are literacy. We talked about that.
We did.
And culture, right? You don't know who you are unless you know where you come from, right? So I'm always going to infuse Black history and cultural experiences. And the best example you can get cultural experience from a historically Black college or university. Or individuals that came from such, right?
Right.
So my all-time goal is one to make sure children have books in their hands and access to literature. But then I want to give you every experience that I had. We don't do that well in our community. I say that loosely, but every other culture makes sure that their younger generation is trained a certain way.
Right.
You know the history. They know the history. They understand their family structure. They understand the work ethic. And then they can go out and be a better person. If you don't know who you are, you don't do that right. So I always
Marcus Garvey quote.
Yeah, it's on the back of our shirts now. And so what I have done with Imagination Leads is moved it to a place where we're still infusing culture. So anytime I have a workshop, you're going to get a Black history lesson or a spotlight, or you're going to learn something culturally specific. But I also take students every year to historically Black colleges to tour. One, because I'm never going to want to go to college if I don't go on the campus, right? And so my ultimate goal is to get them to love college. Like I enjoyed. I don't know about the rest of the world. I loved college. I went to Prairie View A&M University. And
I loved college as well, too. I went to the Grambling State University.
Listen, and it was something about that experience, the speakers, the professors, even meeting students that were diverse,
Right.
social economic diversity. We're not a monolith.
No, we're
so
not.
You get on campus and you're like, I see the Dallas kids, and then I see the tennis players, I see the golf players, and then I also see the girls that love books, right?
Right.
And all of those things make up our culture and our history. Then you hear one kid say, I'm a fourth generation here.
Right.
So my goal is to just get them on the campus. And then the whole time we're doing workshops, and I have speakers that come before they go, when they go on the trip, and then after I do the same thing in post-college check-ins with them. Because my ultimate goal is get them some education, get them to education. Our kids are so behind. Like, it's college. The college goal is just what they believe they're supposed to do. They have no clue how to get there. And I think sometimes our education system halts them. So I do that. I give them all that. I give budgeting. And again, we also develop independence, because you have to go overnight with me and my volunteers. And so we do this in the summer on fall breaks.
Well, I know they have to be well behaved if they're going overnight with you.
Yes, they do. Listen, and I don't allow parents to go because they can't go to college.
Yeah, they have to learn how to spread those wings at some point.
Yeah, and so again, wherever I take them, we go to a museum or we meet a Black entrepreneur, or we go to a Black business owner, and I talk to them about Kwanzaa principles as well. So in a nutshell, that is what Imagination Leads doing. Our applications are open for our next college tour. We are going to Alabama State and to visit 2 ATL colleges. And so again, I really want to get out the swag, but I keep having, I get hiccups in it. But also we were blessed in the last year to get 2 anonymous donations. that really opened up the way I can do things now. And I also will add that now I have a college coach. So I have a person on my team that is a licensed guidance counselor, social worker, but also can help them with the things that I can't. I can't do every recommendation letter. I can't call the school for you, but we have someone that can help support your family as you prepare for college and application process.
And like I said, I greatly admire that type of work because that's a crucial point in the youth life where it's, you know, they're right on the cusp of adulthood and they have to make decisions, but you know, we don't want them to have to make these decisions their senior year. Like they should be kind of in that mindset, you know, 8th grade, you should be kind of knowing or starting to carve out a path. So the fact that, you know, you do things like this as far as taking them on these trips, but also not just visiting a college campus, but going to a museum and then talking to a Black entrepreneur. Like they're seeing all these different levels and layers of what make up being Black in America.
That's the whole point, the core.
Right.
The core of the student you don't get at the high school.
Right.
That's not the goal of that school. And many times we are teaching kids to assimilate when we need to be teaching them to be whoever you are. Right? And whatever you believe you can do. I've been on this for the last week. You know we had a Black astronaut. Did you see the brother?
I see.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he drove the ship. He was the lead pilot.
I keep bringing it up because we sometimes take that lightly. Like, I am not good in science, and I really don't even know what it takes to be an astronaut. But you know how many times I'm going to talk to those kids about that? I'm saying, I just thought astronauts were part of it, like you said, the comic book.
Right.
The cartoon. We have seen one in our lifetime that looks like us. You know? And so for me, that's like...
And not only was he there, again, he was instrumental. And it goes even back to, you know, the story of the Hidden Figures where they were the mathematicians that helped with, you know, the coordinates. But these were things that were hidden. But if they're not promoted, then you don't know what you don't know.
And not to my goal is never to not celebrate our civil rights leaders and things of that nature. I talk about all of them.
But to see the modern day too.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, y'all, we had an astronaut. I don't even, you know, we were excited about our president, right? But we got an astronaut.
Yeah.
So we have, you know, a ballerina. You know, like, so your parents are putting you in break ballet, you're not thinking about that.
No, but
because you're putting the pink tights on.
But to see it on that level, I do believe that it's important for the youth to see modern day, not just hearing about what happened, you know, they'll feel eons ago. You know, we referenced the 90s. That's eons ago for them. Like they're not, you know,
they're
like,
making jokes about us now.
Yeah, and I don't know how to. I really don't know how to feel about that because
we are here now.
Because now you think about the 90s and it's how we thought about the 70s.
Absolutely.
And even saying it out loud is weird, so I'm a sit on.
And then let me say this: I appreciate the table talk because I don't get an opportunity to share this side of me. You know, usually I'm too serious in one space, or they don't know I'm funny too. But
she really is.
Somebody said the other day, "We and I know you're so funny," but I don't get because you've already developed this thing, especially with kids. When they come to my tour orientation, parents were like, go speak to her. Tell them that you want to be a lawyer. I was like, do not tell me that you want to be that. We'll talk about what you want to be when we get on the trip. Because you just saying that because you just saying that.
Right.
You don't know if that kid wants to do that.
It's almost like a shotgun wedding, but not the wedding, but like the whole imagery. Like, tell her you want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer.
And even when students ask to intern or come work with me, I always say, is this what you want to do? Because one, I'm not the coolest boss. I'm cool outside. the area because I'm trying to train lawyers.
Right.
So I tell them now, if you catch me outside the courthouse, we're going to kick it. But I'm in here to train lawyers.
Right.
And so you're going to get a certain type of expectation and experience. But I do the same with the kids. If I told you to be downstairs for 8 o'clock, that's the time I told you. Because I'm trying to teach you got to get a class. Mm-hmm. And your mama's not here. And get off the phone. Talk to somebody. All those things, matter. Even social skills and having, talking points. Like having small talk. I talked to them about, like I went to speak to some kids the other day. And I said, did y'all know the Olympics was going on? That's small talk. That's how you get jobs.
Right.
Because they don't know that you're not, really knowledgeable about that. That's a look on the front of a newspaper or, scrolling.
That's it.
So we have to also teach kids that to have to diversify their communication so that when it's time for them to go apply for things, they can, really. So all of that is happening. And it's my thing. It's my nonprofit, so I'm not really restricted like some of the other programs where you have to. I can't say this. I can't do it. You gonna get it the way I'm giving it to you. So.
And I think that's a testament again to to your character and to your dedication to public service, because this is something that you're not. Judges are not required to have a nonprofit and then take on mentorship type of relationships with youth. None of this is required. This is something that you just choose to do.
But somebody else got to come behind me. What's the goal?
Right.
If the purpose was just to put me in the seat, and I don't have any new lawyers coming in my field, or if I'm not getting more people to black colleges and universities, they're going to close them doors soon.
Yeah.
And so I just, that's where I am with it. And that's, again, I'm in a season of purpose. So I'm doing stuff that I want to do, that I love, and that's how it works.
You mentioned earlier, too, about how the youth are almost trained to assimilate. In other cultures, they hold on to large pieces of their culture, and they make sure that, they're passing these things down. I always find it funny when the topic of assimilation pops up, because America has been branded as a melting pot. Uh-huh. So if everyone just assimilates, then that pot ain't melting no more. Uh-huh. What makes it flavorful is that you have these different backgrounds, these different walks of life that are all in one. But the more and more you assimilate, then it gets diluted. So the fact that you are finding purpose in making sure that culturally, these kids, young adults, let me say young adults, because they are, if they're...
But the average lawyer is, I think they're 30-something. They're not kids.
Yeah, so...
They're in their second jobs.
Yeah, so the taking these young adults to college tours and making sure that they are exposed to these different cultures that are, like you said, we're not a monolith. The culture at Southern is different from the culture in Alabama.
It is.
And they have to see outside of that. The culture in Hampton is not the culture in Grambling. Mm-hmm. Langston is different than, Prairie View.
We did a fall tour to Dillard. And when I got back, I said, now that's a different school. The way they recruit is different. Mm-hmm. They don't even talk to you the same. Everyone that goes here will have this. It's not an open door policy.
Right.
These are our numbers, and we meet our numbers every time. I left there and I was like, okay, these Dillardites are a different brand of people.
Right.
And I thought you only get that from some, other schools. But again, I was on a pastor. What does it profit a man to go to court and you don't see anyone that looks like you? Mm. And sometimes if you're speaking as a witness and you're doing cultural things, specific things, I understand communities of color.
Right.
So some things don't annoy me, and I understand when you're explaining that my child's godmother comes with us places.
Right.
I get what you're saying. And I understand when you say we can't exchange custody on Sundays. That means you got to go to church on Sundays.
Right.
I am sensitive to that. Some judges are not. And so when you elect people that look like you are electing cultural competencies most of the time.
Most.
All skin ain't kin. But most of the time, you're getting that when you go to court. And I am a family law judge. So a domestic court is different because I am literally dealing with the most emotional time in people's life. I like to tell young people when families are transitioning. That's what I'm dealing with.
Right.
And so you may come in heated that day, but it's emotional, right? You loved such and such. And y'all not together no more.
At some point, there was love.
Yeah.
There.
And y'all not together anymore. And then you're raising children together. And that is a hard and that's very complex. But I don't want you to know my personal life. You can't, yes, you do have to tell me the personal life because this is family court.
Right.
Whereas some of that can be excluded in civil district court. It's not important to know what the boss did in the company, and things of that nature. But you have to consider those things. And I say consider because I still treat everyone the same. I've learned a lot in the last 3 years on the bench. I have matured as a listener, as a jurist, as I present things, and as I hear the cases, I weigh the evidence. You always see the statue of justice, and she's weighing evidence.
Lady Liberty.
I see it differently now. But I say that I had good lawyers that were in my court that helped me see things differently, and they paint the picture of the person's family life. And some days I see things that I have to correct. And I have to make decisions that are hard and say that this needs to be limited the time. We need to separate. You're going to have to give up your LSU and your Southern tickets in the community property settlement. People really hold on to things you never thought they would. The house, I have to give that to one person.
Right.
And so I love it. I love the drama of it, but I also love helping people. That's why I always tell, because like I took family law because, what y'all like on TV, I see every day.
Right.
But I try to make it orderly and also sensitive to, what people are going through. So that's what you get in my court. And that's what I hope to maintain in my court as I continue on this journey.
So since you did mention that you are up for re-election and everything this year as well too, and given your strong ties with the community, because as you stated too, people still come up to you, they're referencing things you may have done in the community 5, 6, 7 years ago, as far as just how you've moved. You have your nonprofit. The election day for you was in November, correct?
Yes.
And when is qualifying?
Qualifying's the last week in July. And again, I'm telling everybody I'm announcing a campaign. I don't plan to run a campaign. I'm just announcing it.
Just announcing
I
that,
hope
hey,
that
you
the
here.
community will understand that, and I hope that my legal community, because those people who run against you, would understand that. And keep in mind that in the last 3 years, I've restarted before I became chief judge, I restarted our self-help desk, which helps with our pro bono cases. So individuals who cannot afford to have an attorney or to file pleadings, we provide at our court on the 4th floor access to justice through the Baton Rouge Bar Association and volunteer lawyers and judges every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 2. We also have forms on our website, familycourt.org, where you can just handwrite in or type in what you may need to file. And that can keep a person from losing their mind, right? because I know I can go to the consult and talk to the attorney, but I'm not ready financially to pay them, but I need to file something. And so we provide that with our self-help desk and our forms that are online.
Now you said you started the self-help desk.
Restarted.
Restarted
so my
back up.
predecessor, Judge Lisa Woodruff White, was very much an advocate for individuals having access, and I say individuals, indigent litigants. So if you in a certain poverty level,
right,
you have access to come to court and use the forms that we have. There's still a fee associated at the end of your case, but it does at least postpone that fee,
right,
so you can get in and address whatever your issues. So it had stopped after COVID for a minute.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask is, why was it dormant?
COVID kind of stopped it, and actually, I recall this, that attorneys kind of felt it was competition.
Really?
Yeah, but we take an oath to give people access to justice and to do pro bono work.
Right.
And so everybody doesn't have the same opportunities, or and even the pleadings still don't present the same way, but at least they have the ability to file something. And so that's something that we do in family court that I'm very proud of, and I was a part of it. We also have access to, if in domestic violence cases, the Irish Domestic Violence Office works with our court and provides attorneys for the victims or survivors of domestic abuse if there's no conflict.
Right.
So if they've never had another case or any issues, then they can receive those services as well. And you have an attorney on side of you in court on domestic violence days. And just in general, family law, domestic cases deal with all issues of divorce. So custody, child support, community property, domestic violence, and I think that's all of them. And spousal support.
Okay.
So those are all the things that I see every day.
Now, how did you become chief judge of family court? Because I find that interesting. Well, let me back up a little bit, and I find it interesting only because I know you, and it's not surprising that
it wasn't that I want to be an overachiever. We have.
I think it's just kind of in your DNA at this point.
Depending on the court. So every court has a chief judge.
Right.
Chief judge is administrative capacity. So what that means is that though we just see the courthouse and you see cases and things of that nature, there are budgetary things that have to come through the court. Like, we have a budget. We have to make sure we are allocating funds to all of those areas. We have HR issues. We have hiring things that we have to address. And so the administrative judge, which is the chief judge, handles those things, runs the meetings. We have judges' meetings, things of that nature. Most people never think about that because you just think about court, but the court has a business side. And so in family court, in EBR, we have 2-year stints of that. So it's my 2 years. And but in other courts, it's on seniority. So that person can remain a chief judge until they term out.
Now that's kind of where I was. My brain was going, and I promise I think you got like telepathy or something, because I was gonna bring up. Is it just like a rotating position for family court, or how many times can you hold it? It's
rotating.
Okay, and my brain immediately went to seniority because I'm like, well, wait a minute, was someone else there before you?
Most courts do seniority, but we kind of rotate. It's just 4 of us, or we have 4 seats.
Right.
And I am happy to be the minority seat holder, but I don't. When I say happy, I'm just saying I'm happy to be there.
Right.
There should not be just a minority seat. We need way more judges, in my mind, because it's the capacity of work and the workload that we have. Even the 4 that we have can't manage it. But I am the only minority on the bench out of the 4 judges.
Okay.
And so as we're in transition. And just so you know, every judicial seat in the 19 JDC and the family court are up for election.
That's what I was reading. That
Yeah.
everybody.
So you're gonna see a lot. Like we never used to see judges, like I said, but most of them started retiring.
Right.
And so in your time period, in my time period, and we started seeing more elections for judges, but you never really saw that because they would stay there forever.
Right.
It's not really forever. They have a time period.
It feels like it sometimes.
Till they reach the age that. But in essence, if they're healthy, they're there the whole time.
Right.
And you get comfortable. But keep in mind that I am saying to people to make sure you are involved in every election, because you never know the impact. So even some of these small elections, a May election, maybe even an April election. Also, I was my seat came up on an off year too.
Right.
So keep in mind those off years, you might elect one judge and you don't take it seriously, and then you might, in fact, elect a judge that we just didn't really vet well, And there's seats like Justice of the Peace that comes up this year as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot of potentially some shifting in that courthouse where this time next year it looks completely different.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It already looks different.
Well,
because of the diversity.
Well, we're definitely rooting for you to remain and continue the good work that you're doing, not only on the bench but in the community as well. I had a insightful question I want to ask you though, and maybe it's not even really a question, but you sitting here now, Chief Judge Erika Green, what would you tell Erika Green that's in her first year of law school?
Woo.
Like what would you tell that young woman who is an avid reader, dreaming big, but she has a heart for people? What's something that you would tell her? Because I'm asking.
So if the question is about Erika Green, I was, like I said, the average law student is like 26 to 30. Mm-hmm. I came straight from undergrad. I am not the average law student. I did not have enough life experience for the amount of subject matter things that I came in contact with in law school. And so I start by just saying, trust yourself that you will understand the concepts soon. Like it just was, some things were just so new to me. Again, if we expose young people early enough, then I knew three lawyers growing up. And that's more than half of people we know.
You can see a lawyer on almost every corner now.
Yeah, I knew 3 lawyers growing up. And we're in the capital city, so
right.
two law schools are in this city. So you and I will see way more because of where we live.
Right.
But those schools were still there when I was growing up. And it's just that it wasn't as many lawyers. See, like everybody was doing teaching and things of that nature.
Yeah. And
nursing. But I will say to her that even in the failure, there was a lot of failures. You see the glory, you don't know the story. The story has some failures in it. And I took it so hard. I didn't pass the bar the first time. And my brother said, okay, why are you crying? I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't present well for our family. Remember, I was raised where the Green name meant something. I don't know what y'all doing these days. But my brother looked at me and said, who else took a 3-day test, 8 hours each day in our family? And I was like, well, nobody did. So he was like, why are you crying? We all just happy you made it. Yeah. And the relief I felt, but at the time, I thought I had lost it. Thought everything was not going to work out. And I say that I had a season of failure. And so when you see it now, it's like, oh, you won every election and you did this. What I did was trust God. And what I did, you missed the other part.
Right.
The other times. And I believe I have been favored in this process of life, but I also understand that God was giving me time to get to where He needed me to be. And I encourage everyone to not despise small beginnings. Why do you have to be the president of the organization now? Just work in the organization. Why does it have to be a title? Why do you have to create a title by your name?
Pebbles form avalanches. Everything starts small. And the reason why I framed that for you is because I wanted to use you as an avatar. So that's why I asked, what would you tell the young Erika Green, who's in her first year of law school? Like, what would you tell her? Because right now, there's someone who's possibly sitting in that same seat. And maybe it's not law school for them, but they're on the precipice of something, and they don't know what's to come. They don't understand that this is just chapter 2 and of a book that's many more chapters after that. And I'm speaking like that as well too, because I know I can be hard on myself as well. I have a history of being extremely hard on myself, where it's like the slightest mistake and I feel like, I ruined the whole cake.
Yeah.
And it's just the little corner right there. But I use that because...
Do it for you.
Yeah.
Whatever you are doing, do it for you. When I do speak to law students that look like us, I always say, everybody in your family is happy. They're happy. They're not excited because they're not going to get anything for law school graduation. You only get like the good stuff for like high school in the Black community because we're just happy he made it to high school.
Right.
So when you get into these graduate degrees, do it for yourself. If you're married, do it for yourself because you don't know you don't know what happens after that.
Yeah.
And the most consistent person is yourself. And so once again, this goes all the way back to how we started. You know where you come from. You understand your history. You understand your purpose. You know that the seat that you're given in that law school was just for you. And we have seats because this is not free for all. Everybody's not getting in.
Right.
And everybody's not passing the bar because it's a selective area. And so that's why I always say I train lawyers because some of y'all this is what y'all want to do. But some of us, I'm trying to make you, social engineer. I'm trying to make you that because that goes back to the history. Thurgood Marshall said that, or you'll be a parasite on society. You'll be somebody with a suit on and a degree. And what are you doing? Poisoning your community. I don't have time to connect to people that don't want to change the world. And so I think that that's the goal when I'm talking to any young person, any young lawyer, any person with aspirations is it's bigger than you. But you have to do it for yourself and make sure you're at peace with what you're doing.
Chief Judge Erika Green, just a bright light in society. I thank you for coming by because I know your schedule is thick. I appreciate the gems that you dropped, and I hope that
it look good on the mic.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it does, and I hope
Sponsored by Fiji.
maybe I can get one. But I do hope that people take inspiration from your words and your outlook and your perspective, and keep doing what you're doing. And you know me.
Thank you, T. Thank you for having me and pushing me to do this and respecting what I can and can't say. And even for putting Michelle Obama in front of me. That's dope.
I had to.
You did? No. You could have put somebody else there.
No, I had to. I knew who would be sitting in that seat, so I had to. No, just look again. Keep doing what you're doing, and you know whatever you got going on. If you call me, I'm always there. I've never told her no.
We have argued though.
But I've never told her no.
We have artistically argued.
We have, but I've never told her no, and she knows that whatever she wants to do, I'll be right there and I'll have her back forever.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Vote Erika Green.
Please do.
Don't vote. Tell them don't run. Thank you.
Remember, you're either at the table or you're on the menu, but it's your decision. Peace.